following is a presentation of the Healthcare Facilities Network. Hello, and welcome to the Healthcare Facilities Network. I am your host, Peter Martin, the president of Gosselin Martin Associates. As always, thank you for clicking on the Healthcare Facilities Network and watching this video. The goal of the Healthcare Facilities Network, as I've said multiple times, is to help fill the pipeline for people to come into this role of healthcare facilities management. And with that said, I am very happy to have a repeat guest onto the Healthcare Facilities Network. This is Aidan Cornell. You may recall seeing Aiden in an episode we did in June. Aiden, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me again, I guess.
I appreciate that. So Aiden, tell the people watching this, why are you a repeat guest? What is unique about you and why are you back on?
Yeah, well, back in June, you interviewed me because I was starting out here as an intern in the hospital for healthcare facilities, and I guess you wanted to see what my perspective was, what I was learning, and what I expected to learn. And now I'm back at the end of my internship, and you're asking more questions, I guess.
That's a great. That is a great summation, and that is exactly why. So you may recall back in June, Aiden was just starting out. I rewatched our video this morning, Aiden, just to see what we talked about. And you started on June 5th at Community Memorial Hospital in Ventura, California. So you started June 5th. You and I talked on June 12th. So you were just 1 week in. And as we record this now, it's August 17th. And so Aiden has kindly reappeared on the show to kind of talk about what he's learned and his experiences over the last 2.5 months. Because if you recall, when Aiden began in the role, as you said, and I'm quoting you now, I'm not one of those gotcha journalists, but I did rewatch the story, but I thought it was funny. You said, I didn't know anything. You didn't know anything going in. So I would just ask you a really open-ended question. What do you know now after 2.5 months?
What do I know now? I know that it's a lot more complicated, hospital system than it would seem, I guess. I know that things go wrong a lot more than you'd really hope. And but I'm surprised that there's always a response and there's always something being done to fix it. I've never seen a problem that just was unable to be solved. There's always some solution that has been found to just about every problem I've seen.
That's a great answer. That's a really good answer. So, do you recall, was there one event, and I'm sure there were multiple, but is there one event in your mind that sticks out relative to what you've just described? Here's a problem and here's that solution that they came up with.
Well, on my first week, I'm not sure if I said this in the first part, but the fire alarm system, I guess it just broke and went off. And they had me on fire watch for, I guess, like the rest of the week after that. And what I believe they did to solve that was they just clipped the wires from the panel just to get the alarm. I'm sorry. Just to stop the.
So just in the background there, we have Robert Hacker, and Robert is the director of FM and the person to whom to Aiden has reported, and Aiden's mom is also there, Diane. And so if you recall from that first episode, she was very instrumental in, Aiden was looking for an internship. She went to Robert and here he is. So Aiden, I'm sorry about that too, but it should just be you and I speaking alone, but we got the peanut gallery there who's interjecting. So do you, you said that relative to what you learned is things go wrong.
Yes.
Yet there's always a solution to them. Did you as you think about your career or you think about going forward, had you ever thought about problem solving, or had you ever thought about kind of problems and solutions as a as a skill set or as a skill to develop?
I definitely always thought about problem solving, especially with design work that I would like to do in the future as an electrical engineer. But
Yep.
I never really thought about problems that I wouldn't create. Like I always thought about problems I would run into with
Yep.
my like design, but not other people's designs and flaws in them and other people's mistakes that would have to be corrected. That is definitely something I learned a lot about.
Huh. So you always thought about problem solving in terms of kind of problem solving your
Mhm.
own stuff that you create as opposed to all of these other. I mean, I'd imagine one of the things, and you tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong, you working in the hospital and facilities being so visible, you see the interactions with clinical, you see the interactions with patients, you see the interaction with doctors and with housekeepers and with food, with all of these different areas. Was that surprising to you that a facilities group interacts with all of these different people within a hospital and solves their problems?
I wouldn't say it was surprising, but it was just an observation that I hadn't made before. It would make sense once you see it, but it's not something that's quite visible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny you say that because I'd always thought, I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, kind of along those lines, where we're having a hard time bringing people into healthcare facilities management. Yet we all, from the time we're born, we go in and out of hospitals all the time. Unfortunately, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Yet you never really think of a career in healthcare facilities management, even though it's right in front of your eyes. It's kind of what you just described there. You don't always see what's directly in front of you. You talked about, and you just mentioned it again. As I said, I went back to look at what you said very early on or what we talked about. But you said one of the things about design and what you were thinking about as far as a career, and you talked about maybe military contracting, but you said you wanted to gain as many perspectives as possible so you could design better in your engineering role, which I thought was that was a great answer back then. Did you gain those perspectives? Did you gain those insights? And what did you learn that might help you better as you go forward in your career with whatever you want to decide to do?
Um, I guess I learned a bit that something has to be designed to also be maintained. I know there are a lot of problems that I guess I ended up running into when helping or following people is that two things would end up conflicting with each other. Like, the design of the hospital. I know, I think someone, what was it, actuators for the air conditioning. I might be completely wrong. They would be in rooms that were quite inaccessible for maintenance, and you'd have to get in like very specific times, very specific ways. And I guess that was two parts of the design process that weren't
Yeah.
maybe realized at the same time. Something like that, I suppose.
Yep. Hey, Robert, that's a pretty good answer, huh?
That is that is a real world answer that he's actually experienced.
Yeah.
When we talk about access panels, and since he's not exactly the largest one in our group, guess what?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, that's a lesson that, though, some architects or some designers who've been doing it for years still don't always account for. And you've learned it before you go into your junior year of college. So what else, Aiden? What else was surprising to you as you took on this internship?
I guess less on the technical side, I was kind of surprised how much work doesn't get done because of lack of communication or just poor communication or other uh, bureaucratic logistical issues going on. I was quite surprised to see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably that's another great career lesson, because I think you see that in so many industries, where communication, everybody talks about communication, it truly is a key. So that's interesting. What else did you realize?
Let's see here. I guess switching topics a bit.
Yeah.
I guess what stuff you would expect to break usually, and where, and what maintenance I guess would be, and how to react when something unexpected breaks. That might sound very vague.
Well, a lot of stuff is vague. I mean, life's not always black and white. There's a lot of vague and there's a lot of gray.
Yeah, I think it was just the other day, one of the boilers was leaking, and we had to sweep all the water with the squeegees on the floor, get that, just react within, really quickly. Otherwise, it would lead to other issues, I guess. I don't know if that really answers my.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no right or wrong answer. Let me ask, how long did it take you to feel? How long did it take you to like feel comfortable, with your surroundings? How long did it take you to acclimate?
Maybe 1 or 2 weeks to get to know where everything was in the hospital.
That's great.
I was, they had me running with the duty engineer, walking around, just to get the layout of the place. Yeah, so once I got the layout, everything I guess became a lot clearer. Sometimes people would come up to me, ask me some sort of I don't know, maintenance question that they had about some sort of alarm that was going off or something. And sometimes I would be able to help them. A lot of the times I would not, just because I'd only been there a couple weeks.
Sure.
But I'd always be able to find someone who could help them. So I got comfortable, I guess, talking to people and like that, and trying to explain to a nurse that doesn't know much about alarm systems what is going on, I guess.
That's a great answer. I mean, it really does seem. I mean, I guess that's the value of having an internship. I mean, you've acquired, technical insights, but you've also communication skills. It really seems like it was a great experience for you on the whole. Would you agree with that?
For sure, yes. It was a great experience here.
I heard you did some demo.
Yes.
What did you do?
So at the old CCC, Continuing Care Center, I guess we had a demolition permit that we wanted to keep active. And so we had a bobcat there, just tearing down some walls. And they had me go there and tear down some walls.
That's awesome. You don't do that in military contracting, I don't think.
No.
You do that in the hospital, though. So would you, relative to your experience, like when you go back to school, when do you start school?
Not next Monday, I think it's the 28th.
Oh, wow. So you've got 11 days off. So you're taking some time off, but you probably want a little more. But anyways, when you go back to school, what would you tell your classmates about your classmates and your professors? Because I remember, we talked about this the first time we spoke, that professors don't always bring up the opportunity of healthcare facilities management engineering existing. So what would you tell if somebody said, hey, what did you do this summer? What would you tell them?
I'd tell them surface level that I worked at a hospital, and then go deeper, explain the whole department, what goes on here. From, I guess, making sure everything works, stuff like that. Depending on who they are, I guess one of my fellow classmates, I'd say, yeah, I went around labeling electrical panels, kind of gave myself a whole bunch of homework from, taking pictures of all the motor controllers and whatnot, trying to learn as much as possible there, stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot more to learn, I guess, in a hospital than you'd assume.
Would you recommend, not that necessarily the career, because I'm not putting you on the spot, because people my age don't know what they want to do for a career, but would you recommend an internship for those those classmates if they were interested?
I'd recommend it because there's just so much to learn about.
Mm.
And if that's not their healthcare facilities is not their thing, I'm sure they'll find something in that internship that they'll enjoy.
Yeah, good answer. So is there anything other than the demo? Because everybody would love to do that. I would love to have. I remember when Robert told me that you were doing demo. I was like, oh, that is on. That was probably that could be the highlight of an internship, to be able to drive a Bobcat and do some demolition. But are there one or two highlights to the summer that stick out for you?
I'd say my actual favorite part was the 3 a.m. Loaded generator test.
Wow.
I really enjoyed that. Maybe
That's
not waking up so early, but I really liked going in the giant electrical room, seeing all the transfer switches in action, and just watching all that highly specialized machinery do its highly specialized thing.
Well, and for an electrical engineer like yourself, I'm sure it was awesome to just be in that environment.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's a good answer. What about anything that sticks out that you're like, oh man, I wouldn't wanna do that. Is there, so we had the highlight, is there kind of a low light or something you recall? Ugh. And if you don't
I'm
want
sure,
to answer that because it's too politically charged, don't feel like you have to answer. You don't have to answer everything I ask.
I'm sure if I thought about it, I could find something I didn't enjoy. But off the top of my head, not too much I didn't really dislike.
Excellent. Excellent. So relative to next steps, I heard that perhaps from an internship perspective, some of the, like, if you wanted to come back, or is the opportunity there, or what's are there next steps, or Robert, are there improvements to the program that you can make from your end? What could be the next step? We talk about filling the pipeline, and you tell me, Aiden. Actually, Robert, I called you, but I've talked. No, stay there because it's coming right back to you. I did I talked to a couple of younger folks recently, and they said, these were people, they started interning at hospitals when they were freshmen in college. So they interned freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and then senior year. And they were saying to me that, because they interned really early, and I'm not saying you would want to work in a hospital, that's not what I'm saying at all, but they said because they got hooked early, they were more likely to stay with it. And now they're directors, they're 6-7 years into their career, and they're directors of facilities management. But they were talking about the importance of getting college kids when they're younger so that they can see the field and get intrigued by the field. Do you agree with that perspective, that seeing a prospective field younger is better or more advantageous to filling the pipeline? And then Robert, to you, are there, from a system perspective, are you able to do that to make it easier, these transitions for younger folks coming in?
I guess I'd say knowing what goes on, that definitely does help. Within an internship, knowing what goes on will definitely lead you to wanting to go into that field, I suppose, because I don't know much about anything in really any other field. So, and this is what I know the most about, so it would be a lot easier to stick with that, I guess. So,
Yeah.
in filling the pipeline, I'd say that's a good way to go about it.
Well, just listening to you from, when you started to now, in just that 2.5 months, it certainly seems like you've learned quite a bit. So it sounds successful from that perspective, most definitely. I mean, Robert, have you ever heard anybody say, I like the 3 a.m. test? What time did you get up to get to the hospital for that, Aiden? And has your sleep schedule changed?
Yeah, yes. I don't like it too much, but I'm waking up early now.
What's early?
Early for me, that's like 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Maybe not for you, but
No, but for a college student, 6 is early. I'd agree.
yeah, I have to go to sleep at 9 now. I can't. It'll be a bit of an adjustment going back to school, staying up late to do all my homework.
Yeah. Do you know what time your earliest class is for the next semester?
It's not that bad. It's like probably 9:30.
That's nice. You'll enjoy that.
I will.
It might take you a week to readjust to that sleep pattern, though, right? You might be getting up at 6 for a bit of time. Hopefully not too long. I don't want to jinx you on that. So Robert, how about that? The kind of that process. Did you learn anything, or did getting Aiden on board? I know it took a little bit up front, but is the process a little bit easier now going forward because you've had some success?
I think the process going forward is going to be easier, and it's not necessarily the process for me.
Mhm.
My goal is Aiden as a pawn in my overall scheme. My overall scheme is, as he goes back, if he can talk to 10, 15, 20 of his classmates and say, hey, did you know anything about this? I might not necessarily be the recipient of all of those folks wanting to have internships, but it opens up the door for a lot of the other hospitals. And then they might have these young students saying, hey, I'm interested. Can I do something over my summer with you?
Yep.
That's really going back to the theme of filling the pipeline. That's where I'm coming from. But as a whole, I actually had something a little bit more structured that I wanted to do with Aiden, but I also had to take what he wanted to do into consideration. And he took off. We talk about the Bobcat. What he didn't tell you is he was inside the building driving the Bobcat, not outside. He was inside the building.
Did you take down any structural columns?
I hope not.
Sorry.
But even earlier when he was talking about when we had our fire alarm system fail and it was activated and the alarms were going off and we couldn't get the alarm shut off. Of course, for all the regulators out there, yes, we did cut the wires. We were on fire watch. So we did take things into caution. Sometimes you have to be careful. Other people are listening.
Okay.
But we were protected. But it was one of those things that I believe Aiden learned that, hey, you have this very sophisticated system that failed. How do we get around, number one, the immediate failure so that people aren't up all night and the patients aren't being distracted by the alarms going off, but still providing that same level of protection to the occupants. So that's that troubleshooting. But no, as much as he's learned, I've learned from working with him. And then even when he tells me about some of his friends and so forth, and I asked, okay, am I going to hear anybody else come to me next year who wants to? And that's really music to my ears when I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things just to ask, did you, I guess I would ask Aiden and you, Robert, too, because you would have given this assignment, but did you get much into kind of the compliance or the Joint Commission, any of the regulatory stuff, per se?
No.
We didn't have enough time.
Sure.
I'll deviate just a little bit. Aiden came to me yesterday and he asked me, he goes, I really don't know what you do. And you and I've had this conversation all the time. And he was like, you do so much. And is it facilities? Is it not facilities, et cetera? And so I think it was an eye-opening for Aiden to see all the other interactions that happen behind the scenes, not just what's going on with the fire alarm, but how that's impacting it and how that might affect the hospital and some of the decisions we make to do, knowing that we have a system that's down.
Yeah. Aiden, and I'm not saying this to you because you're sitting here in front of me on the Zoom call and, it's the second time, but that's a very perceptive question. And, Robert, you and I have talked about this before. I mean, sometimes your role expands into all of these different areas and you're like, what do you do? So I actually give you credit for asking that question, number one, for asking it, but number two, for perceiving that, because I think you're right, right on the board. Did you laugh when he asked you that?
I would tell you, when he came to me yesterday, I wasn't sure because he was almost afraid to ask me.
Yeah. I can see that though, right? I mean, you're going to be a junior. You're kind of the boss, and so I give you credit for asking the question too, because I'm sure it was on your mind. Anything, and I know you guys have an important event to go to after we finish this call, right? What's that important event?
What are we doing?
I think it's like lunch or something.
Lunch is always very important. Lunch, a barbecue lunch, though, right?
It is a barbecue lunch. It's actually, I'll jump into this right now. It's not a going away lunch. So for anyone else out there who's watching, who's thinking that they can steal Aiden from me, you can't. He is not actually being terminated. You know, he gave me his notice that he's going back to school. We're changing his status to just per diem. So that way, when he's on, I think it's called holiday break now instead of Christmas break. I might be able to grab him that month. I already have him in line for next year, so he can't get away. He can't go to any other hospital or anywhere else. He's stuck here with me.
I'm gonna so when we put this video out, I will put Aiden is off limits. Aiden, you're not even 21 yet, and you're already being restricted in your career to what you can and cannot do.
But while we're on that topic, do you want to tell him what happened within the hospital just recently?
Yeah, yesterday I was I don't know, putting up some wire or something, and someone from biomed comes by. He's looking for someone else, and we talk a little bit, and he finds out I'm an electrical engineering major, and he wants to steal me.
Wow.
I think.
Wow. So was it I don't want to get in the middle of this politically, but I was gonna say, this is the biomedical manager. So a biomed person wants to steal you. I'm telling you, telling everybody, it's why you're gonna be into whatever you decide to do, and there's you're still young, you got the whole world in front of you, but it's a great path to go down, at least to explore things, because there's a demand. What a great compliment. What did you say?
I definitely said thank you, and I'm very interested.
Do I need to leave the room at this point in time?
No. He's off limits. He's off limits. So just in closing, and Aiden, thank you so much for your time, Aidan Cornell, our college intern. Anything that we didn't cover, or anything else, relative to the internship, or even kind of the experience that you think is would be beneficial to students, or to college students your age? Any advice or anything that you'd leave them with?
I don't think I'm qualified to give much advice, but I'd say if you have a good opportunity, take it, I guess.
Great answer. Yeah, no, absolutely. And Robert or Mrs. Cornell, anything as we sign off?
No, it's all good.
So Aiden, thank you so much for your time. If there's anything I can do for you, feel free to reach out to. And Robert, I'm not trying to put him anywhere. You need to enjoy college. You enjoy where you are. I tell my kids that all the time. Stop looking ahead. Be happy where you are. Enjoy where you are. There's plenty of time to worry in the future. So Aiden, thank you for your answers, and thank you for agreeing to participate. And if you do come back next year, and you don't have to, Robert, right? But if you do, let's do it again. We'll do part 3. You can continue to be the most valuable guest.
Hopefully next year he'll be like the senior intern.
Is that a position that's available, senior intern? Well, maybe if you get a staff of interns, right?
You know what? Fill in the pipeline, one person at a time.
Absolutely. Aidan Cornell, Robert Hacker, Community Memorial Hospital. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.
And Aiden, have a great junior year. Good luck. And I hope you get back to that sleep schedule that you've lost. So this is Peter Martin for the Healthcare Facilities Network. As always, thank you for watching this episode of the Healthcare Facilities Network with Aidan Cornell. If you would like to watch our first episode with Aiden, please find the link right here. Thank you.